Rel that pairs with the Olaf so well was fantastic. Ended up getting POG, Vista did. And look, I mean, this is a team that is so terrifying right now, and I think isn't the big name that international fans think of when they think of top teams in Korea, just simply because it doesn't have the legacy that teams even like Afreeca have. Teams like KT, Rolster, T1 have, and Damwon Key obviously defending world champions. But Hanwha Esports is, quite possibly our second best team right now, and they look so clean when they have a lead like that and are just able to control the whole map.
No, I agree. And they will be second place if they win this, I'm pretty sure, especially with a 2-0. So
you're right.
Taking this game going to be important for standings for them. They'll be one under Damwon Kia, of course, our world champions that are still extraordinarily strong. But we have to get through this draft before that happens, as we see the Azir and the Udyr banned away. Rel also going to be taken away. A good bit of respect going over to Vista, as of course Lehens gets respect on the other side. Olaf paired alongside the Seraphine. Let's see what this final ban is going to be. Kais could be taken away, but still a few other options, as even Lilia is a decent one against Dread.
Yeah, I mean, I'd almost rather see it. So we see the Renekton ban coming down here. The Olaf ban is my favorite out of all 6 because this is Dread's most popular pick. It's his best win rate in the jungle, and he has been the anchor for Afreeca Freecs recently. And I'd rather...
We forgot about it. What the heck?
Well, I mean, if I'm Hanwha Esports, I'd rather see Dread's Talia than see his Olaf. So, I mean,
that's true. But like, why Renekton ban when you can ban Talia?
Well, let's see what they want to grab here, because they get the Kai'Sa with this, and they might even be looking for something like an early Gnar pick and just kind of play it safe, stable. With the Rel pick, you don't have to commit to an early support. Both the Aphelios and the Thresh are open too. Something that, we haven't seen Hanwha play that often. It's not really Deft's, style of play right now, and everyone else is playing that duo. So I think they probably will take the Kai'Sa here. Pantheon's still open, which is one of the other things they left when they left the Talia open as well. So they get that counter back. The Camille priority is pretty high here for Morgan.
Yeah. This is actually really interesting because I saw the Renekton ban and I was like, oh, so they're going to expect that, Afreeca are going to... I was actually expecting Morgan to get counterpick, right? They see the Gnar because that escapes the ban list, and then they counterpick it. But instead, they just go straight for the Camille without even, pass and go, collecting that $200 by seeing the Gnar locked in first. So very interesting. Let's see whether Afreeca just focus on a bottom lane or they're just going to agree. Okay, so they'll just pick the Gnar anyway. I don't know. I think Camille does fine into this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, too, Atlas, at the beginning of LCK, like, this seemed like a terrible matchup for Gnar. But as, we've seen it played out a lot more, it's ended up being pretty Gnar favored, actually, with some of our better Gnars, who were the brave ones to pick it into the Camille. I'm not as confident with Keen, though, into Morgan's Camille right now. So I'm a little bit worried about this one.
Yeah.
We'll see so finally.
I feel like just if you look at the straight up matchup, assuming even skill level, Camille can struggle in the earlier stages, but you should still be able to cope in a side lane. As there's the understandable Twisted Fate pickup. The Xayah ban will come through alongside most likely something like a Kalista ban towards Deft, so we will have to dig a bit deep, but we know that Deft has a champion pool that includes pretty much anything that you could possibly play on the bottom side. Yeah. So that's not going to be too much of an issue, as now Lehen's getting focused out, the Alistar going to be taken away, and we'll see what else that they want to destroy as far as pairings with the Kai'Sa.
Well, this is one of those moments where if you're Afreeca Freecs, you're probably thinking, ooh, the Gnar pick does not feel so great now. With the global Pantheon that you have, the, Twisted Fate Destinies to the top lane, and Camille that can obviously pair well with both the Pantheon and Twisted Fate that can roam top. Like, you're going to wish you picked something like an Ornn or maybe even a Mordekaiser if you could take it back, right? You probably don't want the Gnar here. So a lot of pressure on Keen already in this draft as we see the Xayah ban come down. Most common response. Set ban is the response here, but I wonder if we'll see something like Senna, right? Like Deftus really likes the Senna. I think it's a great
It's another
scaling.
Global as well.
Yeah,
I don't mind it.
I really like the Senna pick here for Deft. I wonder if they'll ban it.
Maybe. No, that would be too insane. I'm not even going to suggest it. There are other globals available, and Shen could potentially be in the support position. Of course, a bit of a Lehen's pick as the Samira was banned away. Now let's see what they want to go towards. Is okay.
Well, Aphelios Thresh is still open, so
I actually wouldn't mind the Thresh being picked up first, as Deft is having a bit of a giggle. I don't know whether this is exactly what he's going to settle on.
Oh, the Kog'Maw.
Kog'Maw's locked in. All right, here we go. This is a classic Deft pick, but let's see what it's actually going to be paired with, because this is a weird comp to pick Kog'Maw into, right? Like, you go back to Juggermore days and you're like, oh, this is where we pick a bunch of burly boys and then throw a Kog'Maw in there. Or actually a lot of enchanters and buff up the Kog'Maw. This is not that comp, right? This is a side lane, split pushing, 1-3-1, let's control the map. And Kog'Maw doesn't feel normal about that. Doesn't feel normal into that, but we'll see how they go. As Shen, like you say, a very comfortable one for Lehens and able to follow around a few of these globals.
Yeah, I think the following is definitely what you're looking at here with the Shen pick. You've already got the Gnar locked in, so there's no way you can kind of go back on your heavy commitment here. We see the Gragas pick up. Is that okay?
Is that mid Gragas?
I think so.
Have we gone back to 2012, 2013?
The only thing else that it could be is it's Taliyah mid and Gragas jungle. And I don't think that's going to be the case, but it's certainly a possibility.
Gragas support jungle Shen mid Taliyah.
I don't know about this one. I don't know about this one. Let's find out, because, I mean, mid Kaisa is definitely not it.
No, that's not it.
That is going to be a terrible time.
You can cancel that one out. We're pretty sure that Lehens is playing the Shen, because that lane is actually pretty okay.
Okay, it's mid Gragas, it looks like.
Yep, and look, this makes some sense. He's probably just going to be going tank as per usual. And you can annoy the Twisted Fate, but let's see how it goes. I think a lot of people were calling for the River Shen, but it's just not going to happen. Although Lehens will probably go into the river quite a lot, so you should be okay. I'm worried about
this, Atlas. I feel like the Taliyah has massive anti-synergy with the otherwise kind of slow-moving composition that Afreeca are rolling with. Like, Taliyah usually want to get a pretty early tempo advantage, but, Gragas into the Twisted Fate, you're probably not going to have lane priority there very easily. Especially when it's a Pantheon and a Camille. Like, you're just really going to be on the back foot. You can't be very proactive with this comp, especially, pre-6. So you hit 6, you can start moving around, you can start matching a lot of these rotations. But it feels like the top lane is going to be completely controlled by Hanwha Esports. And as the longer the game goes on, the Kog'Maw is going to start to scale up really well. And this is just a terrifying draft. I mean, it's out of the meta, the Kog'Maw that we're seeing here. But I trusted its depths. I mean, he played it in Kespa Cup with the Lulu. This time it's with a Thresh. It's a much safer composition. It has a clear theme and identity. I feel like this is going to be a really hard game to execute for Afreeca Freecs. Like, it's going to be way harder for their comp to actually hit its strides.
The thing that I'm interested in, though, is the Gragas, right? Like, this is a matchup that we've been, we used to see well back in the day, which did work out very well for the Gragas in that instance. And is something that you can capitalize on, right? Because he does have a lot of wave clear, and AP Gragas is now a thing again, right? We've been seeing it in the top lane a lot. As this is going to be a lot of pressure on Fly, though. Like, Fly is not a player that generally takes full control of a lane, especially not into a player like Chovy. So we'll just have to see how it goes. I'm very interested to see whether the matchup will prevail or whether the player will prevail.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like it's really difficult to be aggressive with the Gragas, as we have a big invade here.
The 5-man invade. Oh my god, so good. I wish they had have picked Sona as well, because they sing together. The Kog'Maw and I think the Sona as well. Yeah, if you press the, that's one of the emote buttons. I don't quite remember, but yeah.
I don't know if that's so cute. Korean or if that's just in Kog'Maw language. It's hard to know.
I think he's just fa-la-la-la-la-ing, so I don't know whether that's in a language necessarily.
Sure. Well, Hanwha Life are going to heavily commit down here to contest this invade, which is fairly greedy, but they do have a lot of damage output here early on.
Yep, Def's W now on cooldown.
Banks zoned out. I think that they're actually going to be able to take the blue, but
this is really interesting. Arthur actually, this might be this. He could have started enemy red, but you can see this is a bit of a River Shen vibe. As Lehens is over here, they are going to grab this blue buff now, and Arthur's just going to have to start a little bit late, getting towards is jungle pathing, so already a great start for Dread. Just a little bit of happy feeding, unfortunately, for Arthur.
Yeah, a little bit of indecision here, and you know, he got abandoned by Deft and Vista, so Dread gets just this amazing free start. That's going to be fantastic for this early game.
Whoa. That's an exhaust already onto Lehens as Deft gets a bit of damage back. Vista as well, now without an exhaust. They're going to lose out as far as summoner spells, but I guess the health trade went okay for Hanwha Life.
Yeah. Deft's Kog'Maw, by the way, 16-4 in LCK. Very impressive win rate for a champion that hasn't been seen for a while.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, the matchup into the Twisted Fate, hold that thought.
Whoa, early flash as Vista's going to have to flash away from it. Bang taking a lot of damage from Deft here as the Caustic Spittle actually connecting as well. Very nicely trading as, you know, Kog'Maw not known for his early game. And Deft is doing it pretty dang well right now, sort of demonstrating why that 80% win rate does exist. Of course, those games did not come in very recently.
No.
So, you know, Vista having to flash is bad news, but it was in trade for Lehens, so not bad at all. Here as Hanwha Life will be able to just lap up all of this farm.
Well, I'm curious to see how this Twisted Fate into Gragas matchup goes, because, you know, it's been a long time since we've seen Gragas mid, and you know, it can be very aggressive in the lane. It is Talia that is paired with him, so very dangerous mid lane. So Lehens is going to look for a very aggressive taunt.
Yep, Seismic Shove is fantastic. That shield not able to work out. Arthur does manage to pick up the Rift Scuttler at least, and Chovy grabs the follow-up kill immediately. He flashes away, and now Vista could just be in trouble. Deft is back in base, and Vista, remember, does not have a flash available. Body Slam comes on in. Seismic Shove's too easy on the flashless target, and they just take away the Thresh. Yeah, Chovy just sort of like leaving him out to the wolves there.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
I mean, this is, first we had Deft leaving Arthur behind. Now we're seeing Deft and Chovy leaving Vista behind. Some selfish gameplay here in the early game. You know, not going to be a hero. But with the early invade that's taken away some of the farm from Arthur, taken away some of his power early, it's going to force him to play aggressively around counter jungling, which we see here, going in onto Dread.
Yeah, stuns him up. Arthur still has his flash available, remember, as Arthur just going to put up the shield. That's going to ignore a lot of that Seismic Shove damage. Dread loses out on that trade for the moment, but okay, the follow-up is going to even it out very nicely.
Look at
yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, look at the CS difference here for Chovy. You know, he's starting to get a pretty nice lead, and he's actually roaming aggressively as well. There's non-stop action in this early game. But the matchup where, you know, I felt like, okay, this is going to be fine for Chovy because they have, you know, Pantheon post 6's ult is going to be fine, right? He's going to be able to save Chovy in any awkward situation. Chovy can always feel safe as long as Pantheon is fairly nearby. And, you know, that's been slowed down a little bit by that invade. But he is, you know, he's doing otherwise fine, right? Is Camille, you could see, started off great in 2021 in this matchup, but it's actually evened out quite a bit, as we were talking about before. Well, I'm curious to see how this Gragas pick really functions post 6. Like, how will we be able to match those rotations we're going to see from Chovy when Morgan gets aggressive in the top lane? Like, how does the Gragas fit into this? Because I'm a little bit worried.
Well, I mean, Fly needs to try and, you know, win a few of these trades in the mid game, right? In the mid lane, and force Chovy to be underneath his turret. Like, the way that you deal with a Twisted Fate is to always keep his lane shoved and not give him this opportunity to clear it and leave. As another stun comes out, Arthur holding on to the shield once again, and now the Destiny comes in. Dread has to flash. Chovy doesn't have his available, as now Bang could be in trouble, but Vista getting taken down first. Deft trying to fight this one out. Arthur roaming on over as Chovy now slowed down. Deft takes down Bang though, and now Lehens forced into this alcove. Chovy trying to roam on down, as Lehens just buying as much time as he can for the cavalry to get in. There's the gold card, but not actually locked just yet. Chovy finds it in the end, and Lehens will go down. Arthur once again with a phenomenal shield as he tries to get out, and does so effectively. Deft just free hitting this whole time. And Afreeca, unfortunately, they had such good control early, but Hanwha Life just take it back in this instance.
Yeah, it was really well played by Arthur throughout that. And, you know, even when there's no pressure on the top side, Morgan is pretty stable up here, right? Keen is not running away with this lane, so it feels really amazing on all fronts here right now for Hanwha Life Esports, especially because it's mid matchup, you know, where you're trying to keep the lane shoved. If you're the Gragas in this case, Fly, you're trying to keep that lane shoved, you're trying to put that pressure on, but now you're behind. Chovy has 2 kills, And when he returns to lane, he's going to feel very comfortable dealing with these guys. Merc treads early. And it's just really hard to lock this down. You can see even some commitments here from Lehend to actually shove that in as he's making that top right roam now. But not going to be able to make anything happen here. Arthur's nearby, and it feels like this draft is just too complicated to execute correctly for Afreeca. Like, they're not doing a bad job of it, but Hanwha Esports are just responding decently, and that's good enough. As we keep seeing awesome shields here every time the seismic shove comes through. That was the second
Arthur
time.
really knows this matchup.
Yeah.
You can see, like, every time he finds the Talia, knows exactly how to play it. As Fly throws a party cask, and that's exactly not what you want. And that actually set the tone for how this went. Vista throws his life away, but Deft picking up the kill onto Bang is just huge. As the Spirit's Refuge, not quite enough, and Arthur just helping set this one. So Deft being ahead in this lane is something that absolutely should never happen, right?
And at the same time, too, Fly and Dread had all of their attention on Chovy. They were looking for a hopeful kill up on the top side of the map, and that just simply wasn't going to happen either. So very much a late rotation down. And, you know, if you zone Chovy out, you're hoping the bot side is going to, the bottom part of that fight is going to go your way, but it obviously had already fallen by the wayside. So we were rotating down faster and kind of ignoring this low mana Chovy, this low impact Chovy. It's really only going to be able to gold card in the fight. Might have been the better play, but just a little bit of target selection problems on the side of Afreeca Freecs. And even though the kill score is 3-3 and Afreeca have a 100 gold lead, it feels like this game is firmly in the hands of Hanwha Esports because they have this Kog'Maw who's got a lead, the Twisted Fate matchup that you want to be ahead in. You've got you know, Chovy's got a lead there, and now they can start to control the top side. Here they go.
See if they can actually stop this one as in goes the man drop. Dread is going to lock down the Rift Herald as Arthur once again. Pretty good shield, but this time the cask is great. It is going to be that 1-for-1 trade so far, but Chovy goes down low, takes the lantern to get out. Morgan trying to be a hero as Vista, the 3-man flays just fantastic just before Morgan does go down. The wildcards pick up the kill. I don't think that this one's going to work out as Vista's life has been thrown away so many times. Two melees trying to run after Vista here, but the crunch is going to get in, and Keen will lock down that kill. So good trade there for Afreeca in the end, especially considering they got the Rift Herald.
On the other hand, though, 2 more kills for Chovy, and I mean, Twisted Fate is not a not a Yone type champion where you can just roam around the map and kill everybody and no one can side lane anymore. But the goal is starting to stack up.
He kind of is.
I mean,
he kind of is. He presses Destiny, gets to any side lane, and if he's fed, he just kills someone.
I mean, he certainly can kill people solo. As we're going to watch this fight again. This is the cast comes out for the peel. Arthur does get taken out. Chovy trades it back. Ends up getting taunted. But the Hextech ultimatum is really good. And you see the wild card kill steal coming through.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Vista is just, you know, there's no way out of this one, sadly. But the matchups where you want to be ahead in the early parts of the game, the mid and the bot matchups, it's just not going the way of Afreeca. So it feels like the game is the strengths that they're looking for they're not actually getting fed, right? You're not getting the early Kai'Sa lead. You know, the top lane, you have a nice advantage there, which is going to make it a lot harder for those Destinies to come through. But if you just keep fighting into where Hanwha are strong, those trades are going to get better and better. Like, Chovy is 4-0. I can't overstate it, the advantage he has right now in the mid lane. Not
to mention Deft being ahead in farm on Kog'Maw. That's never good. I know that there's a lot of, you know, the Monka W looking at the watch for Kayle. Kog'Maw feels like a similar champion. You know, you get to 3 items and he like 3-taps anyone, even if you're a tank. So Hanwha Life looking for this rotation towards the top side. Chovy coming on in. Wildcards are coming through, but it should be Shelly locking down at least a few plates. We'll see whether they can take the turret as well as Chovy. Indecisive as to whether or not he wants to get in here. Wildcards not really doing too much, as it looks like Afreeca will just be able to take this turret down. Keen takes a bit of damage, but Afreeca with a lot of control, and I really like this. Holding their ground, and Shelly getting that work done. Dread will finish off this turret eventually. There we go.
There's so much CC and skirmishing power with the 3-man on the top like that, between the Talia, the Gragas, and the Gnar. And unfortunately, Hanwha Esports don't really trade anything back for it. You know, we see plates going down here on the bottom, but wasn't a huge lead. And Deft is just continuing to kind of snowball this lane into his favor, but it's not like a massive lead. It's not like he's getting kills down here or has like a 30 CS lead. He's getting closer though. As I say, it actually is getting like up to 30. But I think that...
I'm so confused, Wolf, right? Because like now I'm starting to think like, is this actually Kog'Maw favored in the early game?
It feels like it.
It shouldn't be. It absolutely shouldn't be. But Hanwha Life have just... you know, they reap the benefit of more bot side focused jungling, I guess, from Arthur, but still, this is really rough for the Afreeca bottom lane. The amount of plates that a Kog'Maw's getting, like, this is pretty silly. That's 3 so far.
And you don't have lane prio in mid anymore, so you can't rotate down to deal with this. Like, this is Fly trying to make something happen. Casca splash.
Yep. Yeah, Barrel does come through, but Chovy with a good flash, but still has to invest the flash and trades that just for the ultimate out of Lehens.
They also got Stand United as well there. So Deft is like, okay, well, that was interesting. You guys are fighting over me, but I'm just gonna keep pushing. All right, this is a pretty scary position to be in.
Yep, Vista's dead, but Arthur's going to dive on forward. Vista actually survives for a very long time, and Dread is taken down. Deft taking hold of this team fight. Lehens eventually gets rid of the Thresh as Fly. He has to get out of here. Hextech ultimatum. Lehens just dashes over the wall, but there is a thing called a hook shot, and that means that Morgan's going to lock down that kill. Keen now trying to run away, and Deft wants to kill him. He's got a red buff somehow, of course. Picking up the kill onto Dread will allow him to grab that. And now Deft just taking control of the wave back. A back comes through from Bang, so he's not going to be able to pick up this one, and Keen's going to have to try and deal with Deft for now.
Yeah, this has been a really rough game for Vista. He's trying to be the playmaker. He's roaming a lot. He's trying to set up big plays. Is often caught early in these fights. He actually survives for a really long time in this one. However, if you watch it again, he gets taunted and is seismic shoved into the minefield, but actually lives, has that extra shielding, and walks away, and he lives for a long time. Meanwhile, the damage output from Chovy is actually insane. Fly is shoved away, and then you see Morgan's teleport come through, Hextech ultimatum, and this fight is fantastic for Hanwha Esports, and part of that actually is due to another Vista sacrifice in the early parts of the fight.
He's a martyr right now, absolutely. He's sacrificing himself for the good of everyone else. And it's equating to a 2-0-2 Kraken Slayer Kog'Maw at 14 minutes into the game. Plates have fallen down, and I believe that has been won by Hanwha Life pretty handily. Outside of the top lane, of course, where we see a huge lead for Keen.
Yeah.
It hasn't really been the focal point, right? But he has been utilizing this matchup very effectively. You mentioned how it had turned around, and Keen is demonstrating that that is indeed true. Lehens takes way too many turret shots for some reason, but still, they're able to get this shove.
And I feel
like Lehens just wanting to go back anyway.
If Camille was not down literally 60 CS at this moment in time, I feel like this would be a game where we'd almost be writing the ending too, right? We'd be like, okay, well, they've got Twisted Fate and a Camille side lane control, Deft is fed, so this is just, I mean, the game is already over, Afreeca can't come back, but the fact that they have this Gnar that has a nice lead, and they have so much team fight potential, like the straight up 5v5 objective fights later on, Afreeca has so much CC, they have so much lockdown, they can match rotations with Stand United, they have the ability to cut Hanwha Esports in half, they can zone with the Talia Weaver's Wall. There's a lot of ways that Afreeca win these upcoming fights if they can set up and take them correctly, because we saw last game, they were significantly further behind than they are this game, but they just could not pick their battles. So I'm hoping to see more decisive control, more vision control, and playing around the objectives and not looking for, you know, engages in the middle of the map. You gotta fight your battles when it's time to fight them, when the Drake is up, you know, when the Baron Pit is being contested. Gotta make sure those are good calls and, you know, very smart calls, because last game, you know, they lost control of the map and just did not fight correctly, and everything fell apart. So I think there's still a really good chance for them to come back, because their comp is so good at team fighting, but they have to team fight in the right place. So right now they need to sit back and be careful, be safe.
Yeah. Well, Deft is going to be building his Runon's Hurricane next, which means that, you know, if these team fights do happen, he is going to be a fountain laser onto multiple targets, which is utterly terrifying. At least I believe that's what he's going to go for. You can go rapid fire cannon if you feel like you are under a little bit of threat, and with this composition, that could be an opportunity. But we'll see where he does decide to go with it. Chovy splitting on the bottom side, and yeah, like you say, I mean, in a straight-up team fight, I do think that Afreeca do have a lot of tools. The problem is that Hanwha Life have the ability to pick their fights so effectively, right? That's what Destiny affords you. That's what all of this side lane control with, you know, Morgan, who will eventually get very strong. It is much slower this time around, but the acceleration onto Chovy is just huge. Look, 2,000 gold in the lead. Deft is even further ahead of Bang right now, as 2.2k for a Kog'Maw at 17 minutes. Remember
last game when I said this was, it was like a reminder that Hanwha Esports is not just Chovy and Deft? This game is a reminder that, at least in this game, it is just Chovy and Deft, okay? So, they're the ones who got fed in this game. They're the ones who have the lead. As we see a Weaver's Wall here just to secure this Herald charge and the turret.
Shirley getting value as well. Look at that. Middle children doing very, very well this series. I like it.
2 for 2 turrets. We love to see it.
Nice work, Shirley. You're just as valuable as Shirley. I take it all back. Let's just ignore turret plates exist. As Vista moving on in, they are just going to clear out vision around this Baron pit area. Still a couple of minutes before that Baron is going to be available. And Afreeca have taken down the first Drake, but it was pretty late. 1.5 minutes before the mountain does come back up.
And that's where I feel like...
Face check from Chovy. This is unfortunate. Gold card is going to come through as the barrel. Going to taxi Chovy over here. He does have a ghost, so he's going to be all right, but misses a cannon creep, so take it away.
I was just going to say, I feel like this is where Hanwha Life Esports would have even stronger ability to control these fights if they had secured the first Drake and, you know, had vision control and, you know, really strong control of the bottom side of the map right now to take the second one. If Hanwha Life Esports are about to take a Mountain Drake for their second Drake to push themselves into that really safe position in this game where, you know, they can start to take fights on their terms, I'd feel really good about their chances here. Right now, I feel like it's still a toss-up, this game. I feel like it's going to be based on execution. It's going to be based on how good the Destinies are, how good those rotations are, where the vision control is on these upcoming fights. Like, in 30 seconds, this next Drake is coming online, and Hanwha Life Esports aren't in firm control of position right now. Look at the control wards around the Drake pit right now for Afreeca. I feel like Afreeca are so much better set up to take this fight, and Hanwha Life almost look like they're just simply going to ignore it, which I think would probably not be the right call here.
Does not seem like the optimal play is Chovy heading down towards the bottom side. Just teleports over there. Does still have that Destiny available. As Fly will pick up the answering wave. Of course, doesn't have a turret here, but he's going to be okay as the Gragas, of course. The cask back up off cooldown. Morgan has moved towards this outer turret as Keen doesn't want him there whatsoever. Teleports both of our top laners, though, and Afreeca are going to move over here. Destiny comes through. Hanwha Life now able to move on over pretty comfortably. We'll see whether this is going to be that 50-50 as the teleport from the Gnar comes in, and they do lock down the Drake. Chovy off to the side, has pretty good positioning as in goes Arthur, but immediately he's flung back, gets a huge amount of health with the Gore Drinker on 5, but still, the cask is going to lock him down now. Dread trying to fight against Deft, who's 1v3 right now, and that is not what you want as the Cogmore. Chovy, he's got a gold card, but he's against 4 people trying to still fight this one out as everyone is trying to be a hero, and it's not working for Hanwha Life. One after the other, and that was a disaster.
That was a disaster, but this is, you know, this is Hanwha Life Esports just being a little bit indecisive, and I think too reliant and too confident in their ability to take these fights with the globals that they have, right? You have a teleport from Morgan to come through, you have Arthur ulting, and you have Chovy with Destiny, and that makes you feel like, okay, well, we can take this fight on our terms no matter what. But now they lose the fight, and we're 20 minutes into the game, and they just don't have any way to deal with this Drake. They used all their tools to engage in that last fight. They cannot keep up with this rotation, and Afreeca actually has vision control here. They don't even know this is happening. They have a pretty good idea, you have to imagine, but there's nothing they could do to stop it, and that's why I feel like that last fight was so critical. As we watch this again, the Pantheon comes in, and they just instantly blow him up. Like, Arthur actually is very irrelevant in this fight. You see Chovy trying to set up for a stun on the side, but he's zoned out. And positional advantages with all the CC that Afreeca have, you just can't win these fights as Hanwha Life Esports. Not at the stage, you were not that far ahead with just Chovy and Dev. And this is a big issue that I think is going to get worse now that it's a 2 Drake lead. It's Baron now. So, you know, your global tools aren't as relevant anymore here for Hanwha Life Esports.
Yeah, no, that was just a terrible fight. As Deft out of position as well. The Weaver's Wall was fantastic for separating him. Then 3 flashes immediately come in, and the Cogmore is taken down. He's got a Hex Drinker for some reason. We haven't actually seen that item very often at all. But it is what Deft has gone for to try and mitigate some of the magic damage. There certainly is a lot of it that he does have to deal with. But I'd love to see Hanwha Life actually play around these side lanes a little bit more and actually not go for these just straight up team fights that are handshake for, because it just does not work. You already illustrated, like, that's what Afreeca are good at.
Yeah.
And Hanwha Life, their comp is much better in different circumstances, and you have to play towards it if you're going to win.
You have to get side lane control and then come in, where Afreeca have to try to deal with your side lanes as they rotate into the Drake instead of actually just letting Afreeca get onto the Drake for free, and then kind of slowly pushing in with your ultimates. Because Afreeca just have such great disengage against like the Pantheon coming through. They focus him down, but they have the cask. They have so much lockdown. They lock Deft out with the Weaver's Wall, like you mentioned. And it's just so difficult to take a slow team fight if you're Hanwha Life Esports, because if you try to play it too slow, you're just gonna get engaged upon. So you have to make Afreeca get out of position. That's a flash.
That was a very early flash.
That was like no one was even near him there to make that happen. I guess he's scared of the cask, but
no, I was scared of flash body slam. Fly was almost in range, and then yeah, he's dead. So you can understand the respect given, but still certainly shows the position the Cogmore's in right now. Which is largely food.
Well, yeah, now he dies for sure next time that anyone does commit towards him, because he doesn't have the flash. So
and doesn't have Gale Force either, so he's gone for the less safe option. Definitely more damage in the Kraken Slayer, but not going to have that mobility. Is Chovy just going to watch this turret fall down and pick up the minion wave? And Hanwha Life just suffering at the hands of this Baron. It's not going to break the base or anything like that. It's a very early Baron, so not quite able to do so. And it is going to be timed out in about 15 seconds. But still, this is fantastic for Afreeca, and they have moved to a 3,000 gold lead.
Yeah, I mean, they have a massive lead in terms of the gold lead, or the gold lead they have the Drake lead, but I feel like the waves being pushed, the control they have over the map right now is what's the scariest part, because it should be the Hanwha Life Esports, right? You know, should be running this 1-3-1 very, very successfully, very difficult to, you know, get control over the map, and then you're always trying to match Hanwha Life Esports rotations. You're trying to, okay, how do we deal with that Camille push while Twisted Fate's on the other side of the map? And then also make sure that we can get the Drake, because they can just teleport in, they can rotate in, they have the Pantheon, right? That's where Hanwha Life are strongest in this game. And then, you know, you catch somebody off on the side, and then Deft does a billion damage to that that target who's trying to rotate in, and then you win the fight front to back that way. But you have to have side lane control, and they're trying to wrestle it back right now. You know, you see Chovy in the top side of the map. They're actually now, you know, rotating him down and putting Morgan up here. But you've got to get control of those side lanes, or else you're just not going to take a fight on your terms the rest of the game.
Well, it looks like Hanwha Life are going to give away this Infernal Drake that's going to be up in 4 seconds' time. As you can see, no one in the vicinity whatsoever. They can, of course, get over there with a lot of their globals, but it's getting Deft and Vista to the area that's tough, and Deft is currently trying to deal with an inner turret that is under siege. So Hanwha Life do give this one away, understanding that pressure is not on their side, and they'll try and take what they can from the map. Is Arcane fighting Morgan. Chovy just fighting the turret. Destiny comes in just for Chovy to check whether it's okay to dive. Morgan very, very low. Stand United does come in. A lot of shielding as he takes the lantern, flashes out of the way. Vista getting on in there. Decent stun from Arthur as the party cast comes through as well in celebration as Bang now joins the team. And yeah, you might Destiny to see them all there, but the amount of rotational power from Afreeca is too damn high. They get on over and win the fight.
Yeah, it was really nicely played on both sides. I really liked how much time Morgan bought. They really wanted to commit to the fight, and Morgan was able to buy so much time. The Hextech Ultimatum comes through, but just not able to turn this into their favor. It's a 2-for-1 for Afreeca, and you're just not... Right now, it's like Hanwha Life can't control the map. You know, they were like, okay, well, you're going to take the Drake, so we're just going to control top, or we're going to maybe look for a pick onto Keen. We're going to look for anything we can on the top side of the map. We've got to get some sort of advantage there and start to get these waves pushed out. But Afreeca clear the Drake very quickly, and they rotate over so well that they don't even get an advantage when they commit top. And they're not getting anything on this map. And now it's, you know, Infernal Soul Point that Afreeca stand on. And for Hanwha Life Esports, like, how do you actually take a fight on your terms anymore? As again, this is a heavy commitment. Even Vista's here, so it's not as greedy because he could Lantern Morgan out. That was the idea at first, but they actually decide to commit. He does go in with the Hextech Ultimatum. Really nice stopwatch there to block the hook from Keen, and it's just a turnaround. Everyone's rotated, and Dread can come over so quickly. Like you said, even though they don't have the globals, they have rotating power. I mean, they have one global, they have one Shen, and Talia's kind of pseudo-global in that regard. They can match these rotations.
Yeah, Killer Instinct as well, so they all just get on in there.
Like, you know, this next fight, Hanwha Life have to win this somehow. They have to pull a rabbit out of a hat in this one. And I just don't think they can do it because, unfortunately, they just haven't had control of the side lanes enough. And they have wards on the Drake right now, for the moment. Afreeca's turned their eyes towards Baron. They're like, oh, I don't need that Drake. We're going to make a fight happen right here. So that Drake's obviously 3 minutes away, but
Like, this is what their comp's good at, right? Force around objectives that you have control over, and Hanwha Life can't then play this this global mode as Keen. Just showing that he's the better split pusher right now. Morgan having to back away, absolutely, especially considering the amount of armor that has been built up by Keen. Ravenous Hydra is in for Morgan, but unfortunately, he's really, really far behind. But speaking of far behind, there is like a 70 CS lead for Deft, a 70 CS lead for Chovy. These two are very, very strong. And Afreeca haven't committed to the Baron or anything like that. They do have vision as Chovy trying to get some harassment down. And it looks like it will be Rageblade next for Deft. When that does come in, it's going to be very, very frightening. But that's still going to take some time. And Deft now could be in trouble. Does have his flashback available and a lantern there from Vista.
Fly like pushed this entire top wave into the top inhibitor turret during the skirmish as well. So he's getting tons of value up there. And now Hanwha Life Esports are going to have to back off. There's this really scary moment here too where your Hanwha Life Esports are, okay, somebody's got to deal with this. They do have that rotating power with Chovy. He's got Destiny. So they're not just going to lose Baron control. They're not going to lose a Baron, rather, for this, but they are going to lose Baron vision control, which is very frustrating. It was a really nice play by Fly. Keen has the teleport, so he can actually match Morgan, and then we'll be able to rejoin the fight. So Afreeca, massive advantages here on all fronts. And as long as they don't step over the line, as long as they don't, if somebody doesn't get picked or gold carded out of position, so and Deft blows them up, you know, I feel like Afreeca are going to sit very pretty around the edge of this Baron until the Infernal Drake comes up, and then they're going to switch their focus down to the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, Infernal Soul is going to be really, really hard for Hanwha Life to come back from, so that is certainly going to be a fight that they're going to have to try and take. Split focus will definitely be there. We'll see whether Afreeca can capitalize on the extra pressure that they will have that Soul Point does provide for you. Of course, Afreeca are the kings of very, very long games, but this does not have the same inevitability that game number one had. This is certainly looking like Afreeca having a lot more control, utilizing their composition just a bit better than what Hanwha Life have been able to. And yes, I mean, we talk about Deft being huge, and he is going to be, right? He has a huge CS advantage. Okay, Vista gets over that wall, stands united on top of Fly. Destiny comes on in, the party cask as Chovy might just go down. He has the stopwatch, but he can't even use it, as Arthur has to flash away. Deft zoned out by Dread, and Afreeca will say, all right, well, Chovy's dead. He's dead for 45 seconds. The Baron is out.
Yeah, and it's a Baron that parlays into Infernal Soul as well. Arthur getting completely shoved away. A lot of pings in the mid lane here for Hanwha Life Esports, but I don't think they can actually rush this one down. They're going to try for it, but Afreeca Freecs know there's a teleport.
But there's a teleport that is going to come through. Morgan over the wall, and they have to try and get this as fast as they possibly can. Deft gets as much damage in there as possible, and he is going to be able to get it with the help of Morgan. Morgan now looking to try and trade for Fly before he gets out, but he's just exploded with that Kai'Sa damage. And now, yes, you managed to get the Drake, boys, but you are going to lose your lives for it. And Afreeca with Baron buff might just be able to push to win.
I think so.
This is pretty scary. Chovy's going to be back up again. Vista does flash to get himself out of the way as Voidseeker does find the Thresh, but no Killer Instinct available. And now Hanwha Life do have 3 members alive, so this may not be the end of the game just yet, but it's certainly going to be a very ragged base.
I mean, it might be the end of the game if Hanwha Life Esports step over the line for even 1 second with any of these members. You know, 20 seconds left until Deft comes online, so they have to be proactive in some way. They have to try to slow this down in some way. You see the slower push coming through from Keen. The inner turret is still up here. I didn't realize that's actually going to take a little bit of time to come down. But Afreeca Freecs playing this very carefully. You know, unfortunately they didn't get the Infernal Soul, but winning the team fight there, you know, almost nets them the game. And they still have all the advantages they had before. So this is just, it feels like delaying the inevitable for Hanwha Life Esports. 2 inhibitors is going to make this even harder.
Yeah, Bang actually a little bit caught by himself as in goes Morgan. Hextech Ultimatum is there as Arthur getting taken down very low. The cask is fantastic to split up the fight. A 2-man now, the Cogmore already dead. Instant double kill for Dread on the Talia. And Afreeca will win another fight. They're not wasting any time in this game. They want to get to number 3 and see whether they can take down Hanwha Life Esports, much like they did against T1 earlier, and put themselves in the conversation for the west side of the bracket. Chovy goes golden, but that's just to see the end of his Nexus as he has, you know, a couple of stopwatches built up there.